Mayor Truman,
Here.
Councilmember Colbert,
Here.
Councilmember Wilson,
Here.
Councilmember Best, Councilmember Anderson,
Here.
Councilmember Gregory, here, Councilmember Kerstetter,
Here.
Councilmember Evans,
Here.
Councilmember Stamp.
So I'll stand for the invocation and pledge allegiance.
Oh God, we come before you with gratitude tonight for an awesome opportunity to serve this wonderful community. Lord, as we gather for City Council meeting tonight, I ask you grant wisdom, understanding, guidance, and vision to each City Council members and all the administrative staffs who are here tonight as they make decisions that will make a deep impact in the life of our community. Lord, help all of us to engage in great discussion that we may promote justice, harmony, and well-being of our community. Lord, we ask your spirit to be in charge of the meeting tonight and bless our decision making. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Moving on to the approval of tonight's agenda. Any changes or recommendations? Motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Have a motion and second to approve tonight's agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the approval of the minutes of the March 4th meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes of the March 4th, 2025 regular council meeting as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and second to approve the March 4th minutes. Any further discussion? All in favor of those, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to presentations and proclamations. Tonight we have Wampo here to give us a presentation.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. Would it be possible to pull up the slides? Sorry. Okay, wonderful. Well, my name is Marky Jonas. I'm here from the Wichita Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, along with my colleague Nick Flanders. What is WAMPO? WAMPO is the Wichita Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. It is the Metropolitan Planning Organization for the Wichita Metropolitan Region, and MPOs are federally required policy bodies for urbanized areas with population over 50,000. So for our WAMPO planning boundary, it encompasses 22 cities and 3 counties. That includes all of Sedgwick County and then portions of Butler and Sumner counties. You can see a map up there. It is quite a large region, and that of course does include Valley Center. And we carry out long range and short range. Right now we are in the final stages of the development process of our long range plan and metropolitan transportation plan. These are federally required plans, and they have to have a planning horizon of at least 20 years into the future and are updated every 5 years. Our current plan that we are in the process of is Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050, or MTP 2050, which looks forward to the year 2050. So that is a planning horizon of 25 years, and that will really outline the investment and development strategies of the transportation network. We are currently in the public comment period of that draft. Next slide, please. So what is the contents of MTP 2050? It sets priorities for transportation, including safety, reliable travel times, managing environmental and economic impacts, creating a more equitable transportation system, and improving connectivity for all modes of travel. And then it lists projects to potentially utilize available funding. MTP 2050 is intended to identify transportation policies, strategies, and projects for the future. project future demand for transportation infrastructure and service, and it focuses on the systems level, including highways, city streets, public transit, and infrastructure for bicycling and walking or running, so it really is multimodal. And this document, it's very large. It has 7 chapters and 14 appendices. We also do have an executive summary. It's shorter format, and that is available in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. We really are trying to reach out to the community. I will now turn it over to my colleague to go over the vision, goals, and a few more details. Thank you.
Thank you, Marky. Vision of MTP 2050 is to enhance connectivity in a way that supports equitable development of a safe, reliable, multimodal transportation network that enhances the quality of place within the Wampo region. This vision is supported by the goals of making things safe and reliable, equitable and accessible, connected and multimodal, and engaging in environmental and financial stewardship. Next slide, please. As Marky mentioned, there are 7 chapters and 14 appendices. Chapter 1, Plan, Purpose, and Development. Chapter 2, Regional Trends. Chapter 3, Existing Conditions. Chapter 4, System Management. Chapter 5, System Performance Report, wherein you may find performance measures, as in data points that are tracked in order to determine progress towards goals, including required federal performance measures for safety, travel reliability, and infrastructure condition, but also some regional performance measures not federally required specifically for the Wampo region. Chapter 6, Financial Plan, which is all about showing that the MTP is fiscally constrained, as in it does not plan for spending on projects and operations and maintenance that exceeds projected available funds for transportation through revenues over the same period of time. And finally, Chapter 7, Project Selection and List. The main thing here is that is where you may find a list of projects that have been included in a fiscally constrained project list that, by inclusion in that list, are necessarily consistent with the MTP and therefore may be considered for inclusion in short-range transportation plans and considered for various funding sources. Though there are ways for projects to be included by way of being part of what we call category projects. We have a few, so that would be things like public transit, bridge projects, intelligent transportation system projects, regional planning studies, safety and traffic flow projects, and bicycle and pedestrian improvements. And then we just have our 14 appendices, which I will just read rather than going through. Plan development, public involvement and engagement summary, MTP amendment procedures, project scoring model, cost estimation model, travel demand model forecasts, congestion management process, regional intelligent transportation system architecture, comprehensive safety action plan, regional transit implementation plan, active transportation plan, electric vehicle network plan, commuter flows, and economic development analysis. Next slide. Thank you. Now, all of this information is available on our website, www.wampo.org/MTP2050 at the URL or QR code shown here, which may also be found on the handouts that we put on the table back there near the sign-in book. So if you want to take one of those, please do. And if you want to share one of those, even better. Our public comment period is open through April 7th? Yes, April 7th. So we would please encourage anyone who can to comment during that time, mostly on the website. We have a comment field on the website directly, but you can also email responses to us at wampo@wampo.org, or you may come to our open house on Wednesday, March 26, 2025, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And keep in mind, this is a come and go event. You don't have to stay for the whole 2 hours, and it doesn't matter if you're right at the beginning or near the end, just any time during then. And you can ask questions of WAMPO staff, look at poster boards that we'll have set up around the room, and just to get an overall feel of what's going on at that. This will be held at the Wichita Regional Chamber of Commerce, 350 West Douglas Avenue, Wichita, Kansas 67202. And we will also have paper comment cards at that time that you could potentially fill out if you like. And we would gladly take those in addition to taking online comments. Also, if you like, you could view our recording of our virtual public meeting from March 12th if you want more information summarizing some of the stuff that we've discussed, or rather expanding on it, as the case may be. And of course, this is just one of several places that we'll be giving presentations like this during this time. But yeah, please comment is the main thing, preferably by April 7th. Thank you. Any questions for either of us?
Ron. Ron has a question.
First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for coming up and doing the presentation. But I've noticed, what's the plans or changes that you're making with the bike cycle path that was talked about a couple of years ago?
Which one are you referring to?
One from the north all the way down through.
The one going through Valley Center, Park City, Keachai, Bel Air, into Wichita? Yes. That is on our project list. And my recollection is that it is in the last timeline, but it is possible through administrative modifications for projects to be moved up should there be an opportunity to do so. So that those MVP amendment procedures in Appendix C would cover how to do that if needed, but that is in there in one of the later times. But also keep in mind that as a bike ped project, if funding were arranged for it, then it could still proceed earlier on that basis, because we have the category project for it that would allow bicycle and pedestrian projects to happen at any time when the plan is active.
Okay, so it won't be within the next year.
That would depend more so on this point. WAMPO has done its part to clear the way so far. Now it's really be a matter of coordination between jurisdictions and funding sources.
I'll comment real quick. Good evening, everyone. And so, yes, Councilmember Colbert, that's one of the projects that we're working on, across multiple jurisdictions. But Valley Center did submit 5 projects for the MTP 2050. If you recall, it feels like forever ago, but it was the 2030, I believe, plan that we're in now, the MTP. 2040. We're currently in the 2040, and that's actually how we're able to get funding for the current project that we're under construction right now on the Meridian Avenue projects. And so really want to thank WAMPO and their staff for all their hard work and dedication. Without WAMPO funding, we would not be able to do the Meridian projects between Main and 5th, as well as from the train tracks all the way south to the corporate limits. And so without WAMPO, we would not be doing those projects. And so they work really hard for Valley Center and for the entire MPO when it comes to projects. One of the projects also too that we're currently under design and almost fully with construction documents is the Seneca multi-use path that is from 4th to 5th Street. That's on the west-hand side. And we actually got a category project, I believe, through the carbon reduction grant. And so thanks with partnership with WAMPO, they said that there was funds available and that's going to save us around $475,000, I believe it is, with that carbon reduction grant that we got with WAMPO. Really want to thank Councilmember Colbert. And so when I first got here in 2019, we had one member on the TPB, which is a transportation policy body or board. And now, I serve on TAC as well as our mayor, Truman, along with our Public Works Director, Rodney Eggleston, serves as the alternate for that. And then, so the 5 projects coming up in the MTP 2050 is going to be the downtown revitalization. And so that would be from the train tracks all the way to Emporia, would be that stretch. Another one would be a couple bridges that we have. The other one that we decided to hold off on, that mill and overlay on Seneca Street between 69th and 61st or interurban, wherever you want to call it, where it connects. And so really without WAMPO and these folks, I mean, we would not be doing the projects that we're doing in our community. So I really appreciate them coming out this evening and explaining it to us. But also too, please, everyone, this is important. Take that survey, because if they don't hear from us about how our projects are important, they don't get up the list to get funding. And so without us doing that, it's at the bottom of the list. And so the more public comments that we have on the downtown, thanks to the Main Street folks for being here, the higher that we'll get potential funding at a quicker pace than just sitting and waiting for the tip. So quick plug to make sure that everyone understands the importance of the presentation tonight and appreciate their time.
Let me thank you too. Any questions? Any other questions? Thank you for your time. Moving on to the public forum. Is there anybody here that would like to address the council on any item that's not on the agenda? I have one here. Jeff Davison, excuse me. State your name and address, please.
Jeff Davison, 6601 North Sheridan. I'm between 61st and 69th on Sheridan. We're currently the detour that's being used by everyone in Ward 4, and I would say partially some in Ward 3. Sure. I've a little bit of history. I've lived there for just short of 50 years. From that time, I've seen it go from 3 houses to 9. While we don't have much of a population, I will tell you that our tax base is pretty strong. We've got 8 people with businesses. So sometimes they have semis that unload on that country road, dirt road. Our average, before I get started, I want to say that I'm certainly pro-progress. Pro-progress for Valley Center. I love what we've done recently. Excited for the rec center. Love the signs on 77th, 85th on Broadway. Not to jump ahead and steal anybody's thunder. Love the sign that's going to go there at the roundabout. I wish Valley Center would do more. A lot more with landscape, a lot more with cleaning up, a lot more with lights, for our city buildings, our schools, everything. I'm very pro-progress. I would love for more money and attention to be spent. But I would tell you that currently where I am feeling today is a lot of neglect. I feel like our average street car count went from about 40 to probably around 1,500 today. And I know people say, oh, you're exaggerating. No, I got made fun of because I was out there counting. One of my wife's friends said that they drove by 6 times today. They honked the first 2 times, then they didn't want to anymore. I asked that they get more efficient. At some point, I feel like anybody in Ward 4 or 3, if they're going to go to Walmart, they're going to go by my house. What I would tell you that my big fear is next week when school's back in session. Because any mother that has a child in West Elementary or Wheatland is going to take that route. Any high school kid living along Meridian or anything there is going to take that route. I will tell you that that street is a dirt road. Today, the dust that's went through there, while a lot of it's in my house, my neighbor's house, and everybody else, it's removed a lot of the top from the street. When we get rain, whether that comes tonight or at any time from here through June, that street is going to be a mess, an absolute mess. And that's what it is. We live on it. We're country. We're used to it. I go out there and maintain it. And obviously our Park Township does what they can. My frustration is Park Township was not prepared for this because they was not notified. Stacy Miles of Wagon Tail are the ones that contacted me. They wanted permission on some of my property to put some of her signs. And then, of course, she relayed the direction to shut 69th and Meridian completely as opposed to shut it down in half. I understand that cut down the time. I'm assuming that since it cut down the time of the project, that there was a big cost savings as well. Whether that cost savings was attributed to Valley Center taxpayers, or if it was part of a state grant or federal grant, I'm not sure. If it was part of the federal infrastructure bill and we got tagged onto that for our grants, really didn't affect our tax base much, then I felt like that maybe our inconvenience was looked over. And so I guess I'm just sharing a little bit of frustration. I'm also sharing a little bit of hesitancy of, like I said, next week, and certainly concerned that anytime any type of weather comes in here, I hope people stay safe. Because this last winter, me personally, I pulled 7 people out of the ditch. One of them was pretty bad. You get some, they've recently cleaned out those ditches. Some of them are pretty deep. One of the trucks that the neighbor, he lives on the street, but he's a newbie. He's only there for a year. He was laying on the side of his door. That's how deep the ditch was. It took 2 of us, 2 different vehicles. I've got some equipment as well to get that out of there. Other people do that. Like I said, I'm concerned. I'm frustrated that the Park Township was not put on board. There wasn't any preparation for this. And then I'm letting Mr. Brian Beatty get back from vacation. I didn't want to bother him while he's on vacation in Phoenix with his kids before I try to get a little bit of that. And then the city of Wichita is the other component on there, because the city of Wichita maintains 61st Street from Meridian to Sheridan. And I'm not trying to disparage them, but I would tell you that that could be the worst stretch of half mile in Sedgwick County. I would contend and put that up there with anything. That has done a lot of front end damage. And I don't expect that this increase in traffic is going to do any better. I hope that at some point through this project, if there's anything that we can do to work with our other municipalities, maintenance, I don't know how the Park Township is going to get through there, because how they grade it today is not going to work with the traffic that they've got on it. At some point, they're going to have to shut down the street for them to maintain the street, because there is, I don't know that there's any time on that street that there's not just 1 car, not 2 cars, nothing. I tried to slow down, go 15 miles an hour, and by the time I got to the end, all of a sudden there's 6 cars behind me. There's cars that pass each other on the dirt roads. Like I said, there's semis, there's UPS. Next week, I assume there'll be a lot of buses. Anybody that has a business and gets a delivery in Ward 4 is going to use that, any truck. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. I would like to make a comment, ask a question. I can't do it now. Okay. Anybody else? We'll close the public forum. Moving on to no appointments, no old business, new business. Funding requests from the Mud Daubers.
Good evening, council. Hopefully everyone's having a very nice evening. We're back again, getting geared up for 2025 summer. So I hope you guys are excited about that. Just wanted to kind of go through a couple of updates just from team stuff and personnel things, and just kind of dive in and obviously answer any questions that you guys may have. Hopefully everybody is familiar with us here in the summertime. A couple of personnel things that we are excited about from a league perspective anyway are one of our head coaches from a different team inside of our league is actually now the head coach of Valley Center High School. So we think that's kind of a cool thing. He's been coaching with the organization in Kansas Collegiate League for about 5 years, moved here. He's Puerto Rican, was in New York and then moved here, and then now is coaching here in the community. So we're excited about, just kind of having a small hand and, bringing somebody here to the local community, which we think is awesome. As far as the Valley Center staff, we have retained all of our coaching staff that we had over the last 3 years now. So we're pretty pumped about that. That was always a big goal of ours, was being able to retain our staff and continue to grow them. Our head coach is actually Chris Browning. He has actually moved. He lives in the Wichita area, but has moved here locally as well. So he comes from Texas, but decided to move here. So he's in the community quite a bit. So 2 of our guys have moved here full time. So pretty exciting stuff there. But yeah, as far as updates with the team and everything, we couldn't be more excited about being here. We're ready to kind of continue on all the different pieces that we've kind of put in place, just with our local stuff, right? Doing different things, doing our kids camps, being involved through the summertime. Our guys will be reporting the Wednesday after Memorial Day. And then we play all the way until August 3rd this year. Once again, playing in the Summer Ball Showdown, which is our national tournament. Roughly, a 60-day window where these guys are coming in from all across the world to play, and they call Valley Center home for that time being. So it's a lot of fun. I know that most of you are familiar with what we do, but one thing about the team that'll be a little bit different this year, we actually don't have a ton of returners. We may end up with 1 or 2. So we have kind of rebuilt the roster a little bit. We've had a few guys that have stayed with us for almost 3 years that are kind of phasing out of playing college baseball. So it's kind of a nice little, not nice, that might not be the right word, but a reset in some aspects. So we're bringing in some new bodies that, are not going to be playing baseball anymore. So it's always a goal of ours to kind of grow them within our program and try to keep them here as long as we can possibly keep them. But once they stop playing baseball, then they stop playing baseball. So I don't know if there's any specific questions as far as team-wide stuff. I mean, most of our stuff is staying the same. Not a lot of changes as far as the operational side of things with what we're trying to do. We'll be playing slightly less home games this year, and that has nothing to do with anything substantial. We just have one team that's going to be dormant this summer. They should be back in 2026. They're mainly an internationally based team with a lot of international athletes. Their coaching staff had some visa, just not really issues. They just got delayed on certain things. But so that's the only team. So that kind of cut back on our league totals. So our home dates will be roughly between 15 and 18 home dates this summer, which is we're going to try to fill the gap with some non-league games and things like that. So we still have close to the same amount of games. So hopefully still bring in, family friendly, fun, entertainment here in the summertime, which we encourage, the entire community to come out and, take a chance and come just kind of meet some of these guys. I always like to plug, our players. They're great young men. They're good individuals. They're good for this community. They're good for, any young ball player that is interested in possibly playing any sport, really, at the end of the day. They love to give back. Some of the stuff we did last year as far as, doing small youth practices and just giving back to the rec and just trying to, get into the system that Valley Center has is what we're trying to do. We're actually going to be running a camp at the new rec center here this Saturday. So I'll be out there running a camp. Our coaching staff, some of our coaching staff will be able to make it. So we'll be here. So we're trying to do things during the school year as well, too. Now that we have a coach that lives here, it makes that a little bit more of a feasible thing. So we are trying to plug into that and do a little bit more. So if you guys have any ideas or anything that you guys would like to be us involved with, always like to plug that as well. We would love to be involved with things. The more that we can do, the better. We want to be the household name of this community. We want people to understand what the Mud Daubers are in the summertime. So the more of that we can do, that helps us get that name out there and stay relevant. So, but yeah, that is pretty much it. I would love to open it to any questions. I don't think too much has changed as far as field. Typically when we've come, I don't know that there's a new assistant superintendent. I've met with him. We already have all the field stuff kind of worked out. Obviously, with Randy being the coach there, we've worked out all those details. But I think everything on that side of things is pretty much good to go. So we're kind of just gearing up at this point. So, any questions?
A couple.
Yeah.
Your thing this weekend, do you post that on Facebook or anything like that?
Yeah, so I work directly with the rec with that. So yeah, so it'll be up
Okay.
on theirs. My day job business, I call it, which is Parisi Speed School. So we're going to be running the speed portion of that, but I am going to have our baseball staff out there to just be involved with that as well too.
Okay.
So they'll be helping a little bit on that side of things, but yeah, not that it'll necessarily be baseball specific, but we'll be there.
Last year you talked about playing the high school team.
Yes.
Are you going to try and do that this year?
We are. I don't know that it'll happen this summer or not, but yes, that.
Or even just like a practice, that'd be kind of cool too.
Yeah, I think that just with the interconnectivity of kind of the personnel at this point in time, those style of things are definitely going to be more on the table with what we're trying to do. That'll be something that I could probably give you an update on when they get kind of rolling in their season.
Because they just started practice, I think.
Yeah, they'll start playing here in the next week or
Okay.
so. So Randy and I have already discussed it as ideas and what we've been trying to do in the past, and it's definitely something on their radar.
Cool.
But being the new role, just kind of.
I like the idea of developing the next generation.
Yes, 100%.
That's
Well, and
what
there's enough guys that are on the team currently right now. There's 3 of the guys that are on the Valley Center High School team that'll play in the league this summer that are already signed to different teams.
Oh, okay.
So we've already kind of started some of that. There's a few of those guys that are already signed to play college ball as well too, which are kind of where that translation happens. But as we get more into that, I think that number will grow. Year to year, it will always change, obviously, but that is something that we want to be more involved with as things move on.
Okay.
Yep. Any other
Any
questions?
You need to make the plug. You need more housing.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Well, that's every year. So that kind of comes with the territory at this point. I think we are, last I checked Valley Center's bed count, I think we're 7 or 8 beds short. So as far as host family is concerned, we are looking to add a couple more there. We haven't really, at least not to my knowledge, that could have changed over the last couple of days, but I think we're about 7 or 8 beds short. Just a short little bit on that as far as hosting is concerned. These guys that are coming in from all different places, they take care of themselves. Our goal is to teach them how to become better young men and take care of themselves, right? So they'll feed themselves, go to the grocery store, all that stuff. Really, they need a safe place to stay. And if you have the ability to do laundry, that would be a good thing as well. But not, we have laundry at our facility. So if they need to come do it up there, they can. And we play a lot of games in a short amount of time. So when they're at their house or at your house, they aren't going to be doing too much. They sleep a lot and they get up and work out and play baseball. So that's kind of the regimen at the end of the day. But they're good kids. But yes, we're about 8 beds short currently. So anybody interested in that, we'd love to talk to you. Thank you for the reminder. Any other questions?
One for Mr. Clark or Mr. Miller. What did we budget for this? I know we budgeted something. Was it the same as last year?
Yeah, I believe it was the same as last year. I believe it was the 2,200.
Okay.
We typically do the facility rental
Right.
form throughout the course of the year. I know we've looked at trying to increase those, but of course, with the upcoming year and what's going on at the state level, we'll be looking at trying to decrease things for next year.
It'd be nice if the school district would donate that fee, then they can use this money for something else.
That would be great.
But I think I've said that this is like the second or third year in a row. But
I've asked every year.
yeah, I appreciate you asking.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you guys, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
We need a motion, don't we?
Yeah, I need a motion.
I'm looking for my paper. Motion to donate $2,200 to the Mud Daughters.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the funding of $2,200 to the Mud Daughters. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to item B, funding request from Main Street Valley Center. We have, the president's going to talk.
Well, I asked our other members to talk, but I guess they're not going to. But anyway, I'm Chris Strunk, president of the Main Street Valley Center, and we do have several members here tonight here with us. But anyway, just wanted to provide a quick update about Main Street Valley Center and activities. And as you know, some of the things we do downtown include the farmers market. We also do a Main Street Enhancement Grant Program where we do matching grants for businesses that want to improve the facade of their buildings. You have a planter contest for businesses to sponsor the planters out front. We also host a Hometown Christmas every year and movie on Main Street. And we participate with activities that promote downtown, including the Fall Fest, Trick or Treat Street, and the Lions Club car show. So those are just a few things that we do. We also have a Veterans Banner program that we partner with the city and Daughters of American Revolution on each year, and that's growing as well. So kind of did that in 2024. We're going to do this kind of the same things, programs in 2025, farmers market, our enhancement grant program, beautification, and we also Hometown Christmas is still on the schedule, movies on Main Street. We also plan to explore an option for a community gathering space. We've already started the progress toward a fundraising campaign to potentially purchase some property downtown, the empty lot here. I know it's on later on your schedule to discuss tonight. But anyway, we're here for a funding request of the $10,000, which you guys generously give to us each year, except one during COVID year. But we are starting our 10th year as Main Street Valley Center. And be glad to answer any questions you have.
Yeah.
I don't remember what you're about. What do you go from the tracks on Main Street, and how far east do you go for?
We go east to the eye doctor.
The eye doctor.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then
that's what I was thinking, but I was second guessing myself.
north or south, about half a block to the south and about a block to the north.
Okay. That's an easy question.
Any other questions? Get a motion to approve the request.
Move to approve funding of $10,000 for Main Street Valley Center.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the request of $10,000 for Main Street Valley Center. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the request for a sign waiver for the farmers market.
Yeah, Chris Strunk again. Thank you for that, and also just a request that the city waive its rules regarding right-of-way placement for signage during farmers market, which runs from May through the end of September, so that we can promote it throughout town and make sure everybody knows it's downtown on the first and third Thursday of every month. We appreciate it if you grant us that. You've done it in the past and it's worked out good. We just place the signs out at the beginning of the week and yank them up there at the end of the week. And when the next week comes around, we do the same. So, questions for that?
I move to approve to waive the placement in public right of way of sign regulations for Valley Center Main Street sponsored farmers market during market weeks.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the sign waiver for the farmers market. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to item D, property tax abatement application for Village Coach Works.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
This evening before you is a recommendation from the Economic Development Board to approve tax abatement for Village Coach Works. They are in the process of, they've already gone through site plan and been approved for their addition, but they're wanting to add 6,500 square feet to their facility here in Valley Center so that they can expand their coach work modification area. They take basically shells of a coach and modify it to become an entertainer bus. Generally, theirs are going to be for band and crew. So it's very interesting that, if you see, tours happening, people coming to Intrust Bank Arena, those buses might be built in Valley Center and they're hauling people to Intrust Bank Arena to perform, which is pretty neat. With their abatement, they are adding capital investment through the construction. They're bringing in approximately 3 new employees to their facility. And they're also adding new machining to their facility so that they can make the pieces for the modifications on site instead of having to outsource it. So that's helping them create higher wage jobs because they're having to have better trained people to run that machine. So with our our tax abatement policy, ours mirrors Wichita and Sedgwick County. So we have very similar categories and the same abatement percentages that they would if they were elsewhere. That kind of keeps a fair game. So we're not competing with other cities in our county, but we're trying to make sure that we're at least locating and keeping companies here. So with those added investments, they qualify for 40% tax abatement because of the capital investment, 25% because they are offering healthcare benefits that are at least 50% paid for by the employer, and then 10 additional percent because they're in a regional growth plan sector, which is advanced manufacturing. That again comes from the machining that they're having to buy and have people trained for to run. Jeff is not here this evening from Village Coach Works. He did attend the Economic Development Board meeting and did speak a little bit more about their facility here. But with this, there's also included in the packet a analysis from Center for Economic Development and Business Research at Wichita State. With our economic development policy, we are required to have a 1-to-1 return on investment. So for every dollar that we give up in property taxes, we need to see at least $1 returned in investment. The analysis performed by Wichita State shows a 1.53% return for every dollar that we abate. So we're getting more than what our policy requires. Based on these things, the Economic Development Board did recommend approval of the tax abatement. And I guess I should mention, it is a total of a 10-year tax abatement. And I say abatement, it's in the form of a rebate. The city will collect the property tax, and it's just the city portion that will get rebated to Village Coach Works. The first 5 years are, I should say, guaranteed. There's a review every year to make sure that they're meeting the benchmarks that they have told us as far as employment and capital investment. And then at the 5-year mark, it'll come back to the council at that time for a consideration of that additional 5 years for a total of a 10-year tax abatement. With that, I would just reiterate the recommendation from Economic Development Board is for council to approve, and I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions? Yeah.
So there, I finally found the paper. And I think I got my answer. So it's a 75% rebate, not 100% rebate.
Correct. Yes, they qualify for 75% of the new taxes from the investment made. So the current taxes that we're receiving, we will continue to get. It's based on the investment they're making on the project.
Okay, they fully understand that part. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Is the expansion going north or west?
It's going west and south. They're going to add on to the west and add, I think they're having 2 or 3 garage doors on that side, and then they're going to add to the south side. They're going to have a new fence on the east side of the building that has a new gate. They're going to add some additional concrete so that they can drive buses in on the south side of the building and around the north side. Essentially, the goal is the southwest corner of the building will be kind of where the machining is, and they'll be able to have, I believe it's 3 buses with their nose basically at that machine. So it'll be more like an assembly line. They don't have to walk across the facility to get into the buses. Their goal is to have all the front doors of the buses in the same spot so they can just walk on from that machine and do what they need to in a more efficient manner.
Yeah.
They're going to be able to get their buses in there just fine, right? Or can they access the road? Is there a road behind that building?
There's not a road behind. They have had an agreement with the neighboring property owner to use. They do often use the north drive that's closer to the strip mall because it's not as steep. But they can and they have taken buses into their main drive as well.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? Any motion to approve?
Motion to approve Village Coachworks property tax abatement application under the following terms. City of Valley Center using the financial year 2024 city portion of the general property taxes paid $5,021.32 as the baseline. Will reimburse any increase in the city portion of the general property taxes at a 75% rate to Village Coachworks LLC, division of the Village Holdings Incorporated, on the parcel of land at 335 South Meridian for the tax years 26 through 29, with the possibility of an additional 5-year term based on the performance of the company to be reviewed by the city in 2029.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the tax abatement application for Village Coach Works. Is there any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to item E, approval of the sign for 69th and Meridian at the roundabout.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. I am excited to bring this to you tonight. Mr. Clark and I will be tag teaming this item, as well as we have staff from George Lay Sign, Purple Sign in the crowd tonight, Barry Wilson. So what we are asking for, as one of the folks in the crowd indicated earlier this evening, is a request to approve our third and final sign of the welcome sign project down at the 69th and Meridian roundabout. This sign will be awesome when you get to see everything. They're on the screen. It will, I'll probably leave that and let them talk about it a little bit, but I wanted to just explain, the history behind this a little bit and just mention, this is the third one that we're asking for approval this evening tonight for. It's a little different from what you've seen out at Broadway and 77th, but does have some similar ties. The Hornet, the dark background, it incorporate some new things like the vertical height and shape, and it does pull in the hexagon, the honeycomb look to it, so which ties to our water tower and stuff. So there are several reasons this design changed from what we have out at the Ford and Broadway sign or intersection areas, largely due to the fact that it's going to be placed in the roundabout. It's going to be visible from all four directions, north, south, and east and west in some way, shape, or form. The main directions will be what you're seeing there is north, south, up and down Meridian, and then the side view there, the Valley Center on the end cap there, will be able to be visible from 69th Street directions east and west. So we are seeking approval for this sign tonight. The cost for this is $62,974 and some change, but I have Mary a little bit more and give us some of the details and how we think.
I think. So, Brett and Neil and Jeremy, my project manager, we sat down and had several discussions. And what became apparent to me from when we started this project is the Hornet was prominent on the signs that we did at the other two entryways. But since then, the Hornet has become even more prominent. hence a water tower and others trying to copy what was going on with that. And so it kind of led us to coming up with something that brings up the Hornet. We kind of felt like it's an opportunity to be a landmark sign that'll enhance your identity because it's something that people are going to remember, and it could be a source of pride. And we feel like this kind of represents the spirit of the Hornet, because it's going to be a very powerful emblem. And we, after several more discussions, we decided that lighting really was kind of a important part of this. And we thought it would be really nice to incorporate elements that also helped enhance the environment that it's in. Hence the see-through portion of the sign, where you see the shapes of the hive. Those will be, you will see daylight through those. So you'll be able to see the grasses, and then at night, those will have lighting elements within them to give just a really cool hive effect. And we think that this design is going to be very bold during day and night. And like I said, with Neil's help, we were hoping to ensure that the travelers are going to enjoy the three-dimensional elements of the sign, as well as fits in with the landscaping that goes around it. And we felt like this sign was as much about community identity, and like I said, wanting people to take pride in it. And it seems like to us that the Hornet and everything it represents for the town was kind of the way to start the design. And it ended up being something, I think, that we feel like would be a lasting representation for the town, but as importantly, it's something visitors will remember.
Matt?
I haven't seen the radius of the roundabout. How big will this be? I'm concerned about the semis making a loop, possibly hitting it.
Well, I don't know the dimensions of the roundabout, but it is not that wide. It is
The sign's 7 feet wide.
feet
Yeah.
wide, and it's not going to be anywhere near the perimeter of it.
Yeah.
It will be up in the more, not the exact center because of gas lines and things, but it will be placed to where I mean, within reason, I don't think anybody's gonna.
No, and so good evening once again. This is exciting. As you can tell, this does pull in a lot of the elements of the other sign when it comes to material, the black shape, and then of course the Hornet. And so this will be as close to the center of that roundabout. But as you look at the roundabout, you have your driving lane, right, that goes in a circle. And then inside of that, you have the hexagon stamped pattern that will be red concrete. And then there's a curb off of that. We're going to measure about 5 foot or so from the back of that curb in. And then there'll be another landscaped circle that will then elevate this up higher. And so, I mean, if you're going to try to hit this sign, your car is not going to make it unless you really get after it. Which I'm sure our public safety department will make sure that is handled appropriately if that does. And that's what insurance is for, thanks to the drivers. And so, this sign will be well protected, and then also there'll be a landscape that will also help as a barrier in that 5 foot section from the back of curb to the interior circled landscaped area. And then there'll be additional landscape on top of that as well. And so Neil's crew is really going to make sure that this is safe and secure, and it shouldn't get hit, that's for sure.
Is this going to be done after the roundabout or as they're building it with the change order with Pearson?
Yeah, and so so this will be timing wise. We're going to time this hopefully to happen right towards the end, so then it's done while the street before the street's opened. is the timing that we're going to try our best to achieve. So a lot of coordination between Pearson, Miracle / George Lay Signs, whichever one today you want. Really Miracle Sign. That will make sure to coordinate, and then of course with Evergy as well. So Evergy will have to install the fiberglass light poles, and they have to be lit before it can be open as well. So a lot of coordination, of course, in the original bid and plan for Meridian for this area. There's already the conduit for irrigation and the conduit for electricity. So all that's already planned. It's already been approved in the award of the contract.
What is this made of? What material?
Aluminum.
So we have some winds in Kansas now and then.
We do. We might be experiencing some.
How is that going to stand up for the winds, for a tornado?
Well, the anchoring of the sign, of which your Public Works Department will guide, and we will work with them to do the correct engineering of the anchoring of the sign. And so the material isn't quite as important as anchoring it all the way through the sign. So we'll direct bury a pole that will be, say, for instance, 10 feet by 3 feet deep into the ground. And then at grade, that pole is what we will sleeve the sign over. And it's made out of 0.125 aluminum on the facing sides of it. And then there will be some acrylic faces in the Valley Center that lights up.
Well, I'll answer real quick the tornado question. And so that's why you have insurance, and so those would be items that are covered in objects in the open with EMC. And so I've been in communities where we have had to replace welcome signage, and that's covered underneath the insurance when it comes to our casualty liability.
But if it's not totally destroyed.
Yeah, even if it's damaged. No, even if it's damaged, they replace and fix.
Yeah.
A couple of questions. How much do the other two signs cost?
The other two signs were, I want to say around, just for the signs alone, they were around 33 or so thousand.
So we're doing one sign for the cost of less than two. Well, but okay, so then this follows up from my next
I was
question.
going to say that was a few years ago.
Next question is how are we paying for this?
Yeah, and so it's out of Meridian Avenue. We had budgeted for signage somewhere in this area is where we had budgeted out of the Meridian Street project for the Meridian Avenue sign.
Robert?
I see that in the design here, it speaks of two sets of 9-inch tall illuminated channel lettering. So as I look at the design, I see 4 sides of channel lettering. So will all 4 sides be lit, or is it just 2 sides? And so are we looking at the narrow sides not being lit? They're just going to be white
We
lettering?
recommended that the narrow sides not be lit for distracting purposes, but also we will do the poppy in Scotch light. And so when headlights hit it, it will be reflective.
And then also too, Evergy. And so in a roundabout, if you've been on the one on Ford and Broadway, I mean, they have to be lit to a certain standard per, KDOT, especially with this being a KDOT project. So it will be lit. You'll be able to see it. That's why we don't have any, ground lights like we do on 85th. We do on the one on Ford and Broadway. The only reason for that is because that's Park City's intersection. So we're set back so far away from that intersection of the ground we purchased that we don't have that bleed over from the lights like we will on 60. So this is in the center of the roundabout, not off to the side. So it will be well lit from all areas.
As far as KDOT goes, is that sign visibility wise being 18 feet tall and 7 feet wide going down that intersection? There's not going to be a hazard.
Yeah, you're not supposed to look through roundabouts.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah, and so, we went off of the PEC recommended area. That's kind of why the shape of it has a little bit more height than width.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve proposed design and installation of sign at 69th and Meridian Roundabout for Miracle Signs in the amount of $62,974.86 and authorize the mayor or city administrator to sign.
We have a motion and a second to approve the sign for 69th and Meridian, the roundabout. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Moving on to item F, the RFP contract mowing services.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. What you have before you is a request for proposal to put contract mowing services back out for bid. The current one has expired, so we're just doing this as a good faith thing and to go back out and seek out quotes to hopefully receive a great price and keep within our budgets. Ask for approval to put this out for proposal.
Robert?
So just as a reminder, I think, Neil, can you explain exactly what this RFP is covering in the way? As I remember the discussion last year, it had to do with, these are some areas that we don't particularly have the best equipment to handle these areas. Is that correct?
Not necessarily. Some of this, a lot of this is our parks or public building properties. There's some of the properties in there are also public works properties that we coordinate with Director Eggleston on. And these are properties that make financial sense, or a lot of them. We put all of ours out for bid is what we've done in the past. And then we look at what makes the most financial sense to select and stay within our budget of what we've elected. Some properties come back a little more expensive than others, so it's like when we look at that, we like, for instance, it made more sense last year to select Lions Park in part of this contract mowing versus, say, McLaughlin Park. It fit within our budget, so that's how we've approached this in the past. We did put them all out just to have them rebid again, and then we, go back in and tailor that project or that group of properties to be mowed by the contractor once those bids are returned.
Were we able to remove any areas since we made the new ordinance that involved the right-of-ways of ag land? Were we able to remove some of these areas that aren't going to be bid on now?
I know that has been in the works. I don't know that has, I'm not sure if that's.
No, the RFP
Oh, I'm sorry,
was, yeah, the
has.
RFP, the passed. So I want to make sure we're not
Sorry.
sending something out for
I
bid
was
that
thinking
we're not supposed to be mowing anymore.
Yeah, certainly, yes. I was thinking of something else. Yes, there's several of those properties. Some of the ones that were affecting us were the areas in front of, across from the police station there at the Valley Oaks area, and then across from the middle school the middle school there in front of the Valley Meadows area. And then there's, as far as Director Eggleston's properties that they maintain, I know that they have removed. I don't remember if any of those that we've contracted in the past actually came into play there. There may be a couple that I'm not thinking of, but most of those.
Yeah.
So, kind of what you're saying, those properties that are not in here, who's going to do those now? Or it's not an RFP, or what's going to happen with those? Is it going to go?
The properties that would not be taken in.
Well, like across the street from the middle school, like that's what you said.
Oh, those.
Yeah,
Those
and then
are revert back to the property owner to maintain, the adjacent budding property owners.
and then another property or section that's not on here. I think I know why one section is, but like Fifth Street from the police station to Seneca, that is the reason why that was not on here. Because I've seen us mow the sidewalk, and then on the other side of Seneca
on the north side we were talking about.
From Seneca on the north side to Broadway. Well, actually, it's just around that slope that I've seen us.
Yep. And so in some of those areas that are too dangerous for the adjacent property to mow and maintain, those are the areas that will still maintain like the one just to the east of the bridge on Fifth Street, to Seneca Street. That's part of the adjacent property owner will be responsible to mow and maintain that.
Say that one more time.
So where the bridge is by the public safety on Fifth Street, the north side of that road to Seneca.
Right.
Yep, that will be the responsibility of that property.
I was talking about the south side. of the
Yep,
sidewalk.
south side. Yep. And so that sidewalk, if you recall, is that 10-foot sidewalk or path, recreational trail that will maintain at least between the curb and the sidewalk. Really, when that gets developed, that property owner, that HOA is doing it. If you recall, we've had a few plats, but in the plat of Trails End and that commercial area and where the new school is and Trails End, that adjacent property owner, that's in a reserve that property owner or the HOA will maintain. Very similar to Fiddler's Creek. By their entrance and everything, they maintain both sides where Fiddler's Creek entrance is. So the same thing will happen in Trails End.
Okay.
Once we actually have a.
Go back to my original question. Why isn't that section in this RFP, the Fifth Street south side by the 10-foot sidewalk? Because that would be easy.
Because I believe that it's easy for us to mow after communicating with our Public Works Department. There's some that they chose to keep.
That's all I needed to hear. There's some that we chose to do instead of send out to our RFP.
Yep. Because we do have mowers.
Right. I know.
Equipment, and so we expect our employees to mow some. It's just that we can't afford to mow all.
Right. There's a lot.
So there's some special areas that we want to make sure we keep well maintained as an entryway into our community, because the beautification is such a high priority of the community. I mean, that was the number one thing I believe in that survey in 2019 that we filled out. So.
Never mind. I'll ask you later. No.
Okay, I'm gonna play the devil's advocate too now. We passed that ordinance for the right of ways, and I don't know how many man hours we supposedly saved, but it was more than I expected to see. What are we doing with those man hours with our contract here?
Yep.
I mean, it seems like we could be mowing a good majority of this with the man hours we had on mowing easements.
Yep, and so I'll let Neil speak to his department, but I know from the street side, we're going to be doing more of our own panel replacements and our own road projects that we've been trying to gear up for the past few years. And so this will then allow us the opportunity to pull off from mowing and do more concrete patch repairs and use more of our own employees, skill set and time to focus on roads, since they are the street department and not having heavy equipment operators sitting on mowers and actually working on with the backhoe, the grader, front end loader, and doing panel replacements and road improvements versus mowing. So Neil, if you want to talk to your departments.
For instance, last year, some of the things we were able to accomplish with the savings that we had in hours, we put a lot more effort into our irrigation maintenance. We were able to spend countless hours last year on that compared to, not having to mow. Certain properties gave us a lot more time and ability to work on the irrigation, for instance, and we did. We spent a lot of time teaching and training our crew some new things. We bought a locator to be able to trace out and do a lot of our own irrigation work and be able to make a lot of our own more technical repairs that are very costly. You can spend anywhere from $70-$80 an hour, man hour on up to $120-$150 an hour for irrigation. Irrigation's pretty costly, so we felt like that was better efforts put there too. So kind of the same concept that Works was doing just on our side of the fence and sinking more hours into different projects that came up, working towards tree planting and doing several things.
Renovated bathrooms.
Yeah, that's true. Now we renovated the McLaughlin bathroom last year. That was one of our bigger projects back in the earlier part of the season. So yeah, it gives us a lot of opportunity to free up more man hours during the week and spend on certain specific projects.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Motion to approve RFP to solicit bids for the 2025 mowing service.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the RFP for the contracted mowing services. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving to RFP for the turf and tree and vegetation management services.
All right. Similar to the contract mowing, this is a request to put out for bid, contract for turf, tree, and vegetation management services. This is going to mirror very similarly what we've done in the past. It doesn't take into all the consideration of a plethora of different things, new things, or anything like that. There are a few new things, but very minimal. It's very similar to what we've done in the years past. We've had to make a few additions because of additional trees out on 5th Street where we've added trees out near the welcome signs. So it's just a few things like that. Essentially, we're asking to put these services back at the bid, again, to just seek out the best price.
Any questions or comments? Get a motion to
Move to approve the approval of RFP to solicit bids for 2025 turf, tree, and vegetation management services.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the RFP turf and tree vegetation services. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Moving on to ordinance 1421-25.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I come before you tonight with a request to lower speed limit through ordinance. The 9200 block North Meridian through 9600 block North Meridian. This area was previously in the county, and as we were cleaning up borders and roadways, we ended up annexing this. And so tonight, or previously, it's been, or currently, it's 55 through there. School zone, which is in blue, the little blue square there, that's currently 45 when the lights are flashing. And that's approximately where the lights are located now, the flashing lights up there. So I'm requesting to make that 35 when the lights are flashing during school hours. The area in red is the 9200 block, 9600 block. And I'm requesting that be lowered to 45 miles per hour. I'll stand for any questions.
Yep.
I don't know who can answer this, but the cemetery, is that just north of that red box, or is that?
Yeah, well, it goes up to it. Yeah.
Is it the green box?
That
So it,
would be the cemetery.
So the cemetery is on the far north end of our city limits
Right there.
in that kind of odd shape right north of the high school.
Okay.
That's
So it
the
would
cemetery.
include the cemetery, is what I'm getting at.
Correct. It goes to the end, the northern boundary
Okay.
of the Valley Center city limits,
Okay.
which is the cemetery.
Gina?
Would it be feasible to lower it to 30 miles per hour during school hours?
That was a comment, or that was some discussion we had with staff. I think 35 right now is something for us to watch and check. As the development continues and comes in, I'm going to come before you again and request a lower speed limit again. And I think it would be better. I think it's hard to go from 45 and have that huge drop. So I think the two need to be somewhat close.
Robert?
Chief, I'm not sure if you can answer this question, but about signage. So, I mean, currently out there, we have a 55 mile an hour sign, and then it just goes straight to 30 mile an hour sign. There's no speed zone reduction sign or anything like that. Maybe this is a Rodney question, but could there also be signage where we say that we have a reduced speed zone ahead? I know many signs do that when you have such a drop in speed.
Sure. We could look at doing that. That's so we'd be doing it. I mean, depending on where you want it, I guess from the 55 to the 45. I think it's going to be a little easier going from the 45 to the 30 than it is right now, because that has been a problem area in the past. The 55 was in the county, so that was theirs before. But yeah, we could look at something. that.
I honestly think, I mean, the signage just coming from 55 to 45, I think if you had a reduced speed zone ahead there, I don't know that we need to have one from the 45 to the 30. But that puts it out in the county though. I guess that may not be under our jurisdiction to put that out there.
Yeah, I think we would probably have to get the permission of the county. We're going to look at that.
Motion to approve first reading ordinance 1421-25, lowering the speed limit on North Meridian.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve first reading for ordinance 1421-25. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Item I, approval of curb and gutter replacement on 3rd Street.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Once again, sorry, with Rodney gone attending a conference on our behalf for the Kansas Water Reuse Association. You have to listen to me a lot. I'm sorry. So before you is an award to APAC. If you recall, this is who got our mill and overlay projects in the community. And so this portion, now that we have that contract with APAC, then we negotiated the price for the concrete curbing. So then we didn't have to try to itemize that out separately when we actually went out for the RFP on the mill and overlay. And so, I mean, this was the plan all along, was to then pull this section off. If you've ever been on this stretch of 3rd, it's extremely unique, where we have kind of a, I think they call it, no offense to Miss Katie Crook, a Texas style bump or gutter that actually bottoms out some of the cars of the property owners that live on the south side of 3rd Street. And so I'm not sure how and when that was installed. This is one of the biggest pet peeves that of, rest his soul, Al Hobson had during his time. I know that probably the first or second week I was here, he came and talked to me about two things. That was Hometown Christmas and this gutter. And so those were one in the same meeting. So then what this does is replaces, fixes all that, curbing and all the guttering along the stretch of 3rd, and then coincides along with that mill and overlay. So those property owners will be really pleased once this project is completed, I'm sure. I'll stay in for any questions.
Yeah.
So if you knew this was going to be part of the project, why didn't we include it in the RFP?
Because to have that separated out, we felt that would increase the overall bids, and that's what our contractors told us they would bid it that way. And so they said, hold off on that and bid it separately once we actually, whoever gets the bid. And that's what both of them said.
And this is going to come out of the same budget?
Yes. Yep. The system improvement that we get from the county sales tax.
Any other questions or comments?
I move to approve bid from APAC to replace concrete curb and gutter on 3rd Street in the amount not to exceed $16,380.
Second.
We have a motion and a second
We can discuss more.
to approve the curb and gutter and proposal. Any further discussion? Chris?
I just had a question. Did you have other bids? Because I only see one.
Yeah, no, we just negotiated with who was doing the mill and overlay.
Okay.
But since it was over the threshold of procurement policy, then that's why we come before you.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? I have a motion and a second, so. Need a motion, or don't need a motion. All in favor of the motion, signify for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to approval repair for the booster station.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Nice to see you. A little bit nervous, but not really. You guys look great tonight. Okay? This is to do some major internal repair on pump number 1 at our booster station. This is a vital part to our feed to Valley Center. There's 2 of those, and there's 2 pumps in this booster station, so this is our redundancy. So it's very critical at this time, I feel, that we go ahead and do the major internal repairs and not just our annual repair of gaskets and seals and go ahead and get us some redundancy. I think we'll all sleep better at night knowing that we have it. I'll take any questions.
Any questions, comments? Motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve repair of booster station pump number 1 and accept quote from CMB's in the amount of $28,820.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the repair of the booster station pump number 1. Any further comments? All in favor of the motion, say for raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Who was that? He's not here that often.
Hey, Andy, I'm currently going on my 6th month as your Public Works Utilities Manager. So
Okay.
I help Rodney out on the utility side of the world and trying to keep us all flushing and turning things on. And
Okay.
so far, so good.
Brent didn't.
I believe that we introduced Nick before.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
but this is only the second time we've seen him.
Correct. Yep. We dusted him off, and my daughter came with us this evening to answer any technical questions because that is not my expertise. And so we appreciate Nick's willingness to be here this evening. And also, he's doing an outstanding job. So he's bringing a lot of great value to the City of Valley Center, and we appreciate everything he does.
Thank you.
Okay, we need to move to executive session. We don't have Barry here.
No, unfortunately, he had a family emergency he had to attend to, so he's not able to attend. But we'll probably only need 5 minutes. We can reduce that for you if Barry's not.
Okay, I need a motion to go into executive session for about 5 minutes.
Motion for the council to recess into executive session for the consultation with attorney deemed privileged. Session to include council members, mayor, city attorney, and city administrator. Mayor not, or attorney not present. The open meeting will resume in city council chambers in 5 minutes.
Second. Have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Adjourn for the Bob?
No official action was taken.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to the MOU, Trillo Family Trust in the City of Valley Center.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is an exciting evening before us. And so before you, you have an MOU as well as a potential, just a concept. This is just an idea, one of two that we've been working on since 2019, since I became the city administrator. And this is for that empty lot. There's actually 3 lots downtown in our Main Street corridor. And so this is an MOU with the property owner after many discussions over many of years and many of teeth cleanings with Tom. We have finally, I think, come to terms of a potential purchase agreement. And so the first step, of course, is having an MOU with the council of discussing what could then potentially be in a purchase agreement. That's why this does come before you as a memorandum of understanding. As you see here, this is just a concept that SEH put together for us. The great thing with working with some of the engineers like we've worked with over the past few years is sometimes we get things pro bono. And I always like free 99 when it comes to these concepts for the community. And so what this does, we've actually been contacted by many developers over the past few years since I've been here. And this really then helps us have a document in place and begin the process of having documents in place to say that we have secured the lot to then help with a potential transaction of getting a building developed in the downtown corridor. This is a large open area in the heart of our community. Main Street Valley Center works hard on all their projects and events, and we look forward to partnering with them when it comes to the green space off to the west. And this is just a concept. The earlier concept had green space in between Dr. Johnny's building and the building, the 2-story structure. And now we kind of been looking at this, which would have some type of commercial on the main level and then some living spaces up above it. That lot is a lot larger than it looks. I know that it's like, whoa, there's no way this would fit on that lot, but we would never do anything that would potentially impact negatively the aesthetics of the downtown. And so this is a concept to kind of have a board up on a property that we would then potentially, if we enter into an MOU and then eventually a purchase agreement, that we could showcase to developers. There are some great opportunities for economic development here when it comes with different IRBs, different industrial revenue bonds that we can offer to help generate tax revenue. Because we are in the business of property taxes. That's our main source of revenue. And so that is why we feel it is time to finally secure this lot for the community moving forward into the future. And Tom, now that he's retired from downtown, being the primary dentist in the community, he's realized that now it is time to have a transition plan as he does phase into full-time or more full-time retirement to the lake. So stand for any questions. I know this is going to generate a lot of excitement from the community. I know that Main Street's been working over the years as well with offers that they have made and been unsuccessful with. And so here we are as a city partnering together with community partners on potentially a development in this area. Stand for questions. And yes, we will still have farmers markets and downtown Main Street stuff. If you're familiar, I travel a lot to, other communities across Kansas, and Concordia always comes to mind. If you've ever been there downtown, they have a nice large digital billboard sign that they actually run ads on when they're not showing movies. And in front of it, there's a nice concrete amphitheater with public restrooms and then a little sunflower splash pad that they have inside of this nice, beautiful black fenced in area. And so that's what we envision here. Now, this is, again, just a concept, but I can tell you that if you put a playground downtown, from past experience of doing it in another community, it brings a lot of excitement, a lot of families, and another gathering place that can then enhance the farmers market and all the movies on Main and Lions Club car show. And yes, we have thought about Fall Fest, and so been working with Allison Club and the Chamber of Commerce on, extending that, and the chief extending that across Meridian on Main Street to the east with that additional area there. We've talked about that the last couple of years if something was to go there. But we felt as a city staff that it was important to have the city have a little control over exactly the development in this part of our community, so we can help steer the ship a certain direction.
Yeah, I always thought we needed to own that piece of property.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Do we have people from the public that want to talk?
Pardon me?
Do we have people from the public that want to talk?
I guess we better. If we've got anybody that'd like to address the council on this item? Damn.
Well, I wanted to hear whoever before I talk.
Okay. Yeah, come on.
Once again, Jeff Davison, 6601 North Sheridan. And within this property, within this lot, have you done a phase 1 or phase 2? Is there anything that would prohibit? Personally, in talking with the past developers and a few other things, that was always the concern, is that could this property actually be developed? Or would there be a sizable to clean it up and to get it put in? So has a phase 1 or phase 2 been done? Is it a good purchase?
Yep. And so early on in 2020, before COVID hit, pre-COVID, can't believe it's been that long, we had reached out to the state. They've been doing a lot of the groundwater and a lot of analysis on contaminations in this area, especially with an old dry cleaner that was on Park Street. And we actually have a letter from the state that, yes, there's no contaminants on this property. We haven't done a full-blown phase 1 analysis. What the state gave us was, as long as we don't disturb the ground below, then there wouldn't be a need for a phase 1. So if you go in with a concrete slab and build vertical, then that would be no problem. If you would need pilings and those things, then we would just have to do phase 1 like most historic downtowns require, where there used to be structures. But we do have that letter from KDHE. But I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah.
So this, I know I'm not going to have a popular opinion, but I don't think that the city council should be in the real estate business. Leave that to somebody else. We have venues is the wrong word, I'm sorry. Ways to direct what we want in a certain area through the planning and zoning board, correct? We can say no when it finally gets here. You're smart. But I don't believe, as a governing body, we should get into the real estate business again.
Yep. And so, we actually discussed this a little bit previously. And so, yes, there is an overlay district, and there are some steps that would have to be taken, but that does not limit you as a community in the potential liability or risk of what could be built there and still fit within the overlay district and what type of buildings those are, and the use of it. And so, I know that over the years I've been met by, indoor, type of storage facilities on the backside with a front-facing facade that would technically be acceptable according to the overlay district. And there's been a lot of wiggle room from some local developers. Now, if you recall, that this was listed and was on the market for a while. I mean, it was on for well over a year, and no one purchased it then. It's the city's job to help drive that vision and help be the anchor in this type of activity, especially when it comes to downtown. If you recall on Sunflower Valley, that was really the vision of the city with doing the flood control project, and then really opened up with SPT, which you purchased that concept for, and those renderings back in 2016 that kind of led you to believe of what a concept could look like. in the TIF district without the city, acquiring that reserve where now the school is. I don't know if that development looks the same. The same thing with Harvest Place. Without Harvest Place, where the city purchased and had agreed to purchase area for the rec center and 30 acres around it. I don't think that necessarily happens without the city being the leader and the catalyst for developers. And so developers come to us and then they ask, what's the price of the ground? That's the number one thing they ask. What's the vision of the city? What does the city want to support and get behind? Now, this is, again, just a concept. It doesn't mean this has to be what the developer does. But I can tell you that even tomorrow I have a meeting with another developer that asks, do you have the property secured? If I start calling the property owner, what's the price going to be? And then you just leave it open-ended, and then that can lead to some potential unintended consequences.
Not changing my opinion.
Nope, that's fine.
Any other questions? Have a motion?
Motion to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Torillo Family Trust to purchase the lots. Authorize mayor to sign.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the MOU with the Torillo Family Trust. Any further discussion? Yeah.
I just have a comment about it. Dale, I agree with part of your idea. My only hesitation is I don't think that this is a huge price to secure something that allow us to decide what will happen with it in the future. If it was $1 million to buy this lot, I think it would be a different story. But for the cost that it is, we still will control what will happen with that property and what our city is currently using it for. I'd like to see that be secured. Troilo family can decide to sell to someone who can just say, you guys can't use this anymore. So if we secure the property going forward, we would continue to be able to use it as we are until this group decided that we would sell it to a developer or keep it. So to me, it would kind of be an unofficial park, which was what I thought we should have down there, all along. But just from what our community has used that space for, I have some different ideas that we could use for other than putting up a building, but it's not the worst idea in the world. I just like that we can control what happens with it for that cost. And I don't think it's too much. So that's my 2 cents.
And the previous MOU, that we enter into with Main Street, the city, and the property owner, and with Tom, the city currently mows and maintains it now. And so, that's for the use of it. We already carried on our insurance plan. And so, there's nothing that really changed except for this is a path, of multi-year. I mean, this isn't a tomorrow. I mean, this is multiple years, potential, long-term purchase agreement for us to secure the lot. So at least, has some security in it that, between, Main Street, the city, and the governing bodies that we'd be in control of the narrative of that lot.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to the consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to staff reports.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Just wanted to let you know this is about a month in advance, but to get it on your calendar, and I'll try to remind you as we get closer. Sedgwick County specifically's flood maps have been under review for quite some time, and the state is finally to the point of holding some public meetings on those to get some final comment before they adopt. April 21st and April 22nd from 2 to 6:30 p.m. The state will be holding an open house. The 21st will be at Sedgwick County Public Works Building on South Seneca, and the 22nd will be at City of Bentley City Hall. So if you are interested, I will make sure I attend at least one of those meetings on behalf of the city, but if anyone else would like to attend, just to make sure that our voice is heard in the comments of the proposed new floodplain maps. So,
Any questions? Dale?
That mowing ordinance we just approved last meeting and the meeting before, did the notices go out?
Yes, Public Works did send those out.
I thought that was yours. Sorry.
No, it's kind of it's both departments, but Rodney had the list and they sent them out.
All right, thank you.
Both departments, and I put this postage on them with the keys.
Dave?
Good evening once again, Mayor and Council. Today we just received the remaining trees that are going to be going, the remaining 29 trees that are going to be going down on the Main and Meridian corridor area, the spring trees. So we're excited to get started with that. We're probably looking towards the end of March to get started with that. We've also been working on another tree planting project that you may have noticed out on 4th Street, especially with the traffic being rediverted through town. So it's a project where we've came into some good fortune with some of the vendors that we've been working with on a few free trees, which has been thankful and appreciated. We ran across also a few good deals, so we've been able to start putting some trees out there in those areas because of that, and using our city maintenance tree board money. So for those, so it's been very good project. We're looking to have before we get done planting this spring, probably close to probably in the vicinity of 24 trees out there this spring, and then there'll be some areas that will be slated to be planted later on, probably in the fall or later in early winter this coming year. So running out of time to plant trees with everything else coming. So, but we're very excited. It's kind of changing the landscape out there, looking good. If you haven't driven by it, please take a look. I will also wanted to publicly thank the Lions Club. They sponsored a replacement tree for over at Lions Park. We lost one, and they had said, hey, let us know how we could help, and they sponsored a tree to replace up there. So we got that planted this week, and we'll be putting a plaque out there to dedicate that as well. So, any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. I just wanted to let you know real quick, I hired a new officer. I wasn't here at the last meeting, so I wasn't able to tell you. He was supposed to start here on March 10th. I got a last minute phone call from the training academy. They had an opening, so he started that on March 10th. So he'll be in the academy for the next 3.5 months, graduating in June. And I will plan to bring him to council and introduce him once he's graduated the academy.
Any questions? Thank you, Lloyd. I hope Rodney's getting a sunburn.
Good evening. Since Rodney's gone, I'll give a brief Meridian update. The north half of the project, Pearson is still working through some punch list items. Rodney had mentioned last meeting that they were working through some of the programming on the streetlights. Meeting today, it sounds like they're still waiting on some sort of handle or part to get that fully operational and to get how to use all of that. South side, as you're well aware, the roundabout shut down this week. They are planning as part of the roundabout improvements. There are your water lines that feed the town, the main 16-inch coming from the south, and a 12-inch line that connects into that 16-inch line on 69th. We are relocating those, putting steel casing through that so that there's any sort of breaks, it doesn't affect the roundabout. That work is going to start next week. They'll install everything off to the side, and then to cut in their connections, they won't shut down the water there. They're planning to do that first, maybe the second day of April. I don't remember. April 2nd to Wednesday, maybe. That's what they were targeting. They're going to do that in the night. I think they're going to start like 8 p.m. hours. Probably 5-6 hours of shutdown there. All that. There's a bypass at the pump station that Nick was talking about earlier. I don't know the exact locations of that. I'm going to have 2 valves where water will truly be shut off during those hours. But because of that, we worked with Pearson and that during nighttime. So.
Not on April 1st.
Not on April 1st. Only other thing is they continue to work on the sidewalk on the east or on the west side of south side of Meridian for those drives. Once all that's complete, we had a progress meeting today, and we didn't get an update on when they expect to open all 4 lanes of traffic there. But we can get that and provide an update or provide an update.
I drove by last week. There's a lot of driveways that don't have concrete in front of them. Any update on that, when they're going to get done?
That's the schedule that we missed out on today.
Oh, okay.
That's critical path right now.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you. Barry's not here. Clint.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. 2 things real quick. I did go ahead and put a revenue and expense report. I'm not going to go through it tonight. It's just for the first 2 months of the year. And to summarize, everything's looking great so far. We've had quite a bit of revenue come in early in the year, which is common, just from the tax draws that come in. So it looks like we're way ahead, but again, it's kind of a normal pattern. So it's really not worth going through at this point in time, but everything's looking good so far. And then the second thing is I wanted to welcome Linda Prater. She is our new accounting clerk 2 in City Hall. She's doing a fantastic job. She's catching on quickly, and she always has a smile. So she's a big addition to our team, and we welcome her to the City of Valley Center.
Welcome. Chrissy?
I just wanted to point out one of the goals that I put for Charlene as the senior coordinator was to generate a report. She does the reports all the time for the county, but something that's very easy for council to see what she's doing, what our seniors are doing. So probably at least once a quarter, maybe every 2 months, I will be putting this in the agenda just as a staff report so that you do get an update on our seniors. So just wanted to point that out as in the agenda.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Clark.
I know you got a lot of me tonight, so good evening again. Sorry about that. Just a few quick reminders we have coming up. Let me see what's first. Oh, yes. Well, it's the same time because the chamber likes to create headaches for us all. Save the date for the citywide rummage sales. And so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, April 24th, April 25th, and April 26th is the citywide rummage sales. If you get calls from your constituents or from out-of-towners, make sure they go to the Valley Center Chamber website and they can do all the registration. Everything is all online. They can get all that information and the maps will come out digitally and then also in the gas station, City Hall, all, Main Street Coffee, all those areas will have maps, probably that Tuesday or Wednesday before typically. And yes, we know it's during the road construction. If you've ever met any garage sailor, they will find a way. So they will find a way, don't you worry. Also, too, that same Friday, April 25th, is the Valley Center Chamber Golf Classic. And so that's held up at the Newton Sand Creek Station. That's a 19th annual. And so it's one of the biggest fundraisers of the entire year for the chamber. They're always looking for volunteers. And so if you do have an opportunity or time, please come volunteer or get a team together and meet Rodney and I out there on the golf course. And excited for the opportunity, to host up at Newton, as our course will be under construction, as well as it's a 9-hole course. So it's a little difficult to have that many teams. Now, that is the second largest fundraiser. The first is, of course, Fall Fest. And so Fall Fest and the Chamber Golf Outing are the two that really fund the chamber for the entire year, besides memberships. and really appreciate Councilmember Evans being the treasurer on the board of directors for the Valley Center Chamber of Commerce. So appreciate all of his time volunteering in that as well. Also, there's an extremely important date still in March.
Blood Drive Friday.
Blood Drive Friday. Yeah, of course, Blood Drive Friday. Also, Sunday, March 30th is Mayor Truman's birthday. So happy early birthday on that Sunday, March 30th, Mayor.
Matt, you have a question?
What's the status on the drainage project up north behind the people's houses that were doing that? Is that complete or are they still?
Yep. And so we just met with the property owners. Actually, I met with them today. And so we're finalizing those agreements and the temp easement and the permanent right-of-way, the permanent easement for drainage. So there'll be about a 350-foot concrete flume that will be on the far south end of that property, on the far north end of the city limits in that field that will help move water to the ditch on Meridian. And then that water will actually go to the east through Harvest Place. And so all that grading and all those areas will hopefully happen fairly quickly. So then we can make sure that that farmer has the opportunity to plant the crop in that field. So within the next probably 2 or 3 weeks, you'll see a lot of dirt flying over that area, grading that all towards 93rd and Meridian. So it goes underneath that box culvert. That's that culvert on 93rd and Meridian that was set a little high when the county did it. And so we're going to grade most of that field to that corner. And then the southern part, there's a section that will go in the flume that will then carry that water straight across to where those pipes were installed on Meridian, just north where our city limits, right where the map showed the new miles per hour to 45. Any other questions?
I think so. Thank you. Non-governing body reports. I don't have anything today. Wrong? Robert?
I'm good, Mayor. Thank you.
Ben?
I have nothing.
Tina?
I have nothing.
Dale?
I have nothing. Thank you.
Chris?
I'm good.
Matt?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by raising your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
Yeah.
Got out of here before 9 o'clock.